Before we get into the podcast today, I want to talk about a really cool service that I tried with one of my players called Champs IQ. Kind of confusing because it's spelled different. So it's Champs and then EYE and the letter Q. So Champs IQ compared to Hockey IQ here, the podcast. Really, really cool. You submit 10 minutes of edited game footage. Their expert analysts evaluate the player across more than 15 key performance attributes. You get an overall rating, a projection against NCAA Division I potential, and just real clear actual priorities. So you know exactly what to focus on next and where to put your time. Especially in the summer, there's so much time to figure out what should I be doing. I think Champs IQ is a great way to think about where do I need to put my time? What's the next thing that needs to be knocked down that I can take off in my game? Champs IQ bridges that gap, takes that guesswork out. You get the detailed, specific, accurate assessment. Really, really cool. Recommend it. If you go to their website, www.champsiq, and remember that's EYEQ.com, use the coupon code HockeyIQ, spelled just IQ, Hockey IQ. Use that. 10% comes off your bill on your submission. I recommend it. Did it with my player, had a great experience. Check it out. On the Hockey IQ podcast today, we bring on Paolo Della Bella, which is a mouthful for me, but you're from Lugano and played a few times in Italy. So, one, glad to have you on. Two, what all languages do you speak?
Actually, five. My main language is my mother tongue is Italian, but then I spent a good part of my life speaking French and German. As in Switzerland, you can't really go around without. And then English and Russian. When I play there, I pick up Russian. And my wife is Russian as well, so I have to practice it at the time. Right now, anyway.
So English is like the bottom of the barrel for you. All right. So I'll try to keep it simple. Uh, Worldly man, love it. So just give maybe a quick 30-second background. Really loved all the goaltending information I saw of yours out there and wanted to connect with you and have you on the podcast.
Okay, I started playing here in my town in Lugano, where I work as a coach now, and then from there I went a bit around. My hockey career brought me in other part of Switzerland with the National League, and then with the national team I had the chance to do forward championship, which brought me to study in Canada at Ottawa U, where I got a back in business administration. And then from there, I got to play in Russia in what now is called KHL. And then I came back in Switzerland and then finished my career, my player career in Italy. And then from that's the past 15 years, I've been coaching at the beginning teams and goalies. And now the past 13 years, I've been goalie coach here in Lugano and with the national team. Switzerland.
So you've had a ton of goalies, and you've had them from young to all the way to full men's team. Curious from your perspective, like how do we build a pathway from our youngest goalies up into that first team, that top team that we have? Because I feel like when I watch my goalies, I do high school hockey, so that's age 14 to 18. There's a massive change and shift there. So I'm curious what that looks like before and beyond.
Yeah, let's say working in a European structure, it kind of easier because we start with the U9 with hockey school, and then we bring our player till, if possible, the first team, the pro team. So basically, the development pathway we have start with the scouting of the player that could be goalies, and then once we get them in the net, then we work with them through what's 10, 12 years before they can make it or they can't. That's surely a difference between here and North America, where teams are on their own. So it's easier for us to control and to lead the way.
At what age do they go full-time goalie, and do you have to kind of like force every player to try it? How does that selection process go?
It is like this. Normally, I start watching for looking for goalies at the U9 level, and there for the first 3 months of season, I don't even go. I let the guys skate and pick up the skating stuff and so, and then I start going in practice. And normally we don't have goalies. They rotate every practice. We have 3 4 guys that get into the net and try. And from November till February, I start going basically mainly talking to the guys, uh, looking for a connection. So my first practice maybe asking what kind of pizza they like, just to begin a little relationship with the kid. And then I look around and yeah, the first thing you look for a goal is the puck is going right and the guy is going right as well. Like then if you catch it or not is not really important, but it's already something like if he's going left and puck right every time, maybe it's not the right position. Then once you cut down to 15, 16 guys that could eventually be goalies, then you start see if they like it, if they go to the net because they think they will be skating less and so on. But the real choice get when only when they are ready to go in the other category, in the U12 for us. And then I pick, depending from the season, normally 5 to 6 goalie pro year, so that we can nourish our structure and be able to bring goalies till the U20 21 team. And then if we can get somebody in our pro team or in other senior teams, this is good.
And then you also have the national team as well that you're helping out with. So I'm guessing that's kind of Lugano. Once you get to the national team, they've already selected that we love goaltending. We want to be goalies. We want to own that net. Well, what are you looking for, or what is being selected for when we're talking about the best of the best at each age group?
Uh, Hockey sense is the first thing because it's hard to teach hockey sense and being able to read the game, to know what it happens, to pick the right strategy is important, especially at international level. Then, of course, size is something that we cannot skip. Like we have had goalies that weren't that big. One of them is playing pro now, Pash in Lausanne, and he played in Omaha in the USHL. But he's kind of a small goalie. It's like once in yeah 5'7" for you guys, 174, 175. But normally our goalies are between 181 and now the biggest are 190 in the junior national team. So between 5'11" and 6'4", basically. And then laterality, at least what I call laterality, the capability to read the game laterally. Like the more international you go, the more the game is played with seam pass, with people moving from left to right or east to west, and then being able to keep the puck under sight and follow the game and know what's happening is important, especially because our goalies, the national team goalies, they see a lot of action, especially when they play against the USA or Canada. Let's say we are still a lower league compared to them.
So they're gonna see some shots, and they need to have the sense to read it, the lateral movement to actually get there, and hopefully a little bit of size to get in the way of it.
Yeah, and the skating. Skating has been in the past 10 years have been the most important thing that before was kind of overlooked. Like as long as the goalie was huge, it was okay. Now, not only in Switzerland, but even under other national team program like Sweden, like Finland, Russia, here in Europe, they start looking for goalies that can skate, they can move. So this is another thing that is important because you can be amazingly coordinated. You can see the puck in the game, but if you know if you are unable to move with the puck and to be in the right spot, then it will be hard to stop the puck.
I look at UC Saros, like he's probably the best skater that I've seen in a goaltender ever. And like even though he's quote unquote undersized, he skates so well. It seems like everything hits him in the chest, or it's like perfectly in the glove because he's always getting to a spot so early. He reads the game and he's got the skating where he makes the game look easy, and it's not that easy.
No, it's so Sarah is a good example, and the Finnish school is really good in skating. Like their goalies says, the skating program for the goalies was probably the best in the world at a certain point. I would then it's not only skating, it's the way I think making and the goalie fast is the way they follow the puck. A good example is Shesterkin, which is able to be really quick in turning and moving together. And this is another side that following the puck with the upper body to be able with the mechanic to be faster and quicker to push on the right direction is another important thing.
I think you bring up a good point, which is when we got to follow the puck. But the other piece, like if anyone's ever stepped in and you're not a normal goalie and you figure out how to like follow the puck, it's almost like you have to reverse your brain. Because if the puck's coming to your left, you want to like lean into it, so all your weight goes left and you're on your left leg. Well, now you can't move so good to that left spot because all of your weight is on your wrong pushing leg. So when you're thinking about tracking, would love to hear you dive a little bit deeper into that because I remember putting on the pads as an adult just for fun, and yeah, I knew where I wanted to go, but my weight distribution was all messed up.
And this come again from skating, because if you are balanced on your skating, you have a good edge control. You can really keep your body in balance, and it's easier to move. Of course, you go for active play where your upper body go toward the puck, but you still have to keep it in a balance that allows you to move. And following with your head and shoulder together. This is what it makes you move and makes your ribs turn as well, so that you can keep the balance and push almost at the same time instead of making two different movements. A lot of time, if like it's my thing, I don't like my goal is to play with C cuts. That's because you have to shift weight and then you have to reshift the weight to push on the other side. And if you can move laterally all the time and use your shoulder to give you the direction to track the puck, that something help you to keep the balance and to push always with both legs able to push. Like both legs are able to push every time you keep your balance. That make you faster.
Yeah, and I like what you're talking about with the head and the shoulders. Like the head and shoulders should lead. I'm actually laughing because coming up with I've got a newsletter, and that's the entire point I'm making is the head and the tracking goes first, and then the rest of the body will follow that puck. Especially in this particular example we're talking about is rebound recovery. So a shot comes in, let's track it with our eyes, and then be able to push hopefully on our feet. If not, we'll slide into or just beyond the post. And in order to get there, though, the most effectively, it actually is not starting in your feet, it's starting in your upper body and allowing that kinetic chain, right? The kinetics of your body to go head, shoulders, and everything else naturally wants to follow. Even just like turn your head and you naturally, the rest of your body wants to go. So making sure that we're tracking and actually moving our head first.
Yeah, you're right. And clearly in this size can help because the bigger you are, the less room you have. But the change with head, shoulder that move and keep the track of the puck all the time. This allowed you, as you say, to be quicker to recover with your lower body and push right away. And especially now that the game is going quicker and quicker, the ability to be quick and to be quick in the right spot is something is a game changer.
I'm curious. We kind of touched on developing skating a little bit, and you mentioned that the Finnish school is pretty good at teaching skating. Like when you're thinking about developing skating for goaltending, we're starting them at U9, and then maybe we're going full time at 12-year-old, 11, 12. What does this look like to develop good skating? 'Cause it is a different type of skating. Goalies definitely need to be your best skaters on the team, but it's a different style of skating compared to the players skating out.
Yeah, yeah, clearly if we move more like laterally and player go more forward backwards. So this is already a change. But I think the first thing is like a good friend of mine, Jim Corsi, who coached in Buffalo and then in New Jersey for a long time, used to say a goal is just a player wearing different materials. So at the end, especially when they're young, every time the team is making skating, power skating, and so they have to skate with the team because, of course, edge control and normal skating is important for a goal as well. They have to go out of the net, they have to get to the bench, they have to play the puck. So edge control, the ability to change, to shift weight and change direction and so on is really important. And this is the basic then to practice the technical skating as well. For how we work here in Lugano is especially when the goalies turn U12, at least the first year, technique is not really what we look for. It's more really skating. 70% of the drill are pure skating when we do technical, and 30% is skating with hand-eye coordination, basically stick work. It's not important if they stop the puck every time, like even in tournaments and so. The idea is not to win all the tournaments. It's really to create a good habits and a good foundation to work on after. When we get to U14, then 50% of the time is skating, and the rest is pucks and technique, always at the goalie practice or the goalie side. U16 we go down to 40%, and then U18, U21 will be around 25%. Then the rest in each category, we look for something. Like U14, we do this to specific reinforce the skating technique and to get better in precision and technical. Then when you get to U16, you want to connect the skating with the puck control, and then when you get U18, U21, the skating is connected to game-like situations so that to follow, to change direction and so. So this is a bit how we work through our structure. And then we do it normally. The team skates once a week together. They're 20 minutes skating, where especially in the U12 or U14, the goalie go through the skating with the team, and then he does another hour goalie practice where they're 30, 35 minutes skating and another couple of sessions when they have 10, 15 minutes skating drills separate from the team during the week. So let's say when you start being a goalie in our structure, you look more like a figure skater than a goalie.
So as we get down, like, what are the maybe some like goalie specific skating activities that you really enjoy, that you're going to hammer home? Are we looking on seat cuts? Are we looking on just pure lateral pushes where you're just trying to understand what's the control of how much ice you're shaving so you know where your weight is? I'm curious, what are those kind of like specifics look for you?
Yeah, at the beginning, when you start with kids, basically what we want is them to get more powerful legs. So we do all kind of stuff, like bending knees, jumping, lying on the ice and coming back right away, just to get the feeling and to get the force to do the skating afterward. But we can be really good technique in technique, but if you don't have good legs, it's impossible to skate for a goalie. Like you basically stay in a seated position for half the game, even more if you have a bad team. And so the first is hedge control and all this stuff to going line on the ice, coming back, and so. Then we start normally with sea cuts, which we call lemon in Italian. So the half sea cuts, half so that they learn how to push with the leg that push laterally, and we reinforce the muscle of the legs. And then from there we go to edge control with jumps and all kind of different turning and so. And after that we start, and this will take the first 3 months of the season when they start being goalies. And then we start with shuffle, T push, different combination between the two, skating online, skating uh, when they are kids, mostly board to board without using the net at the beginning, like to get really repetitions. And then slowly with the U14, it's a side with T push and T push, shuffle, CCAS, slide or power slide. And the ratio of power slide and slide get bigger and bigger the older the goalies become. The idea is to allow the goalie to stand up as much as they can, especially when they are kids, so they don't get the habits to stay on their knees all the time. Like to get on your knees is easy, is to get up, get a bit harder when you have bad habits.
I feel like that's the number one bad habit goalies have is like when they go down, they stay down, or they just automatically go down. The classic like point shot, nothing's in front of them. It's a clear lane, and yet they're going down to catch a puck that's above their head or right by their ears, rather than just like, oh, if I just stood up, it'd be boom right here. It just annoys me of goalies that just get on their knees, stay on their knees, and never get up, and just it limits their mobility and their ability to actually read a game and see a game.
Yeah, and most of the time they do it because they don't wait to read the shot or to read the situation, but they just go down before. So it's even worse because they just drop without really looking what's happening, and this is something that doesn't help the goalie.
Bad habits, bad habits. Um, I'm curious as you're talking about the actual specifics, the technical stuff. Um, how do you train from the youngest and then training at the oldest? You mentioned like we're going to shift the skating and whatnot. Um, you know, I put you on the ice with a 12-year-old. What does that look like versus a 16-year-old? And what are like the key things that you see in that pathway of like, okay, here's what a 12-year-old really struggles with. Here are just some common issues, towards a 16-year-old. What are the common issues here versus you 20? What are the common issues? And then what are some corrective actions that we're
I
training?
mean, in skating or all
Just in general.
in general, could normally the coordination of a 12 years old is different from a 16 and a 20 years old. And the capacity of reading the game is different because you didn't see all this situation, you didn't see enough situation to get them as habits. And clearly, legs power and skating are different. And the first thing you notice is once the goalie can really skate well, then it's easier to do everything because, as I said before, good skating bring you in the right spot quicker. And if you are in the right spot quicker, you have more time to read the situation, to select the save, and to make the save and to follow. And when you get a U16 goalies and a U20 goalies, then it's for sure size is different because you have a selection on size anyway. Good here in the Italian side of Switzerland less because they are not so big, but the experience, the way they see and they read the game got better. And so let's say the house, the foundation is skating, and then once skating is there, once you pass the U12, then the big difference, this skating will allow you to be quicker, so to have more time to see the game and more time to have a good box control. That's in small words.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do want to pick out there is that you mentioned was just like being intentional about your save selection. Because I see it, or at least the ages that I primarily am with, where save selection is just kind of like an afterthought rather than here's how I'm putting myself into a spot and I'm choosing this save rather than just like, oh, I'm just going to constantly scramble. Where it's more of like almost a mindset of I'm in control of the situation. I may not be in control of everything, but I can take control to the greatest ability that I can. The classic, do I choose a blocking save? Am I choosing a reaction save? And how do I play those differently? Reaction save, you're probably going to stay on your feet and react and choose what you want to do versus a blocking save, which you're going to get on your knees and get as big as possible.
Yeah, and that is too. How we work here is till 12 years old is kind of a, yeah, we go through the basic techniques, so glove saves, glove saves, blocker saves, or stick saves, the basic butterfly. And then once you get to the U14, so once here in Europe, you get on the big ice. On the U12, we play in half size ice, so just in the zone, and we start going through a game plan so that when the goalie start knowing what he can do when the puck is where, in which situations, and clearly when the puck is really close to the net, you can go in block. When the puck stay far from the net, you are more into reaction because you have time to react, and from close you don't. Or um, then the other thing we do is, and for me it's really important, is just not making the save without thinking, but always asking ourselves why. Why do I do something? Why do I do this or that? And this is something I tell my goalies as well. It's like, if you don't understand, ask me why. And if I don't have a why, then it's my fault. I'm wrong.
Well, I like that piece of like just one, when you want to encourage general curiosity, but also like from coaches asking questions to the players because they're the ones that need to be able to survey the ice, figure out the
Yeah,
relevant information, and make a decision. And if they're constantly looking out, asking the coach, it's a problem. And to your point from earlier about like taking on responsibility and owning the net, it's such an important thing for coaching to making sure that we're asking more questions than are being asked to us. Just really get the players thinking and reading and understanding and developing that hockey sense. Because they're the ones at the end of the day that are making decisions, not us. So we just try to put them and get them in spots where they're being intentional about what they're doing rather than just plain on reacting. So I really like how you mentioned that piece about just the question asking being so important from a coaching perspective and what that does to the development pathway for the player.
and it's true. It's like we don't want to have PlayStation goalies, like the way that you are controlling them and they do what you want to do. And it's important that the goalies, the athletes, they can find a solution on their own. And when it's not always the solution, the option they picked is the right one, but this making mistake and correcting and looking for another solution on their own is what bring them to develop their hockey sense as well. If we as coaches keep telling them, oh, do this or that, they will never be able to read the game and to look at the game. So they don't need to. They have somebody behind that tells them go on the left or go on the right, and that's not the, on my point of view, is not the right way to coach.
Yeah, and with that also is like the video part of it when you're talking about like developing and owning and understanding yourself because as a younger kid like your self-awareness is quite none, and as you get older we're growing our self-awareness and conscientiousness. So I'm curious because I remember the first time I watched myself on video and thinking about how great I was in these areas, and then watching video and being like, no, not at all. I'm terrible. uh, what does it look like? Because I know video is more and more prevalent. It's everywhere now. What does that look like when we're talking about video analysis for goalies and getting that feedback to help improve performance?
Let's say, first of all, in the past 10 years, technology went so much, got so much better that now we can have video from every point of view, every in practice, out of practice, off ice, during the game. And this is something that really helps because it's not just watching the game or the game we play as a goalie, but it's watching practice, the technical practice is good giving them U12, U14 is giving them some part of pro games so that they can watch what the real goalies do in some situations and technical so that they can rewatch themselves and see what they may where they make mistakes. Then once you get to U16 and then U18, U20, you start having, thanks to Speedeo here, you can have a practice video where you can see if you have bad habits in practice, what you can change in the way you practice. Because at the end of the day, game and practice are always different. And sometimes they're different because the attitude we have in practice is not the same that we have in a game. And watching what we do in practice is something that can help to say, oh, maybe I have to change it. I wasn't ready. I didn't follow. Um, I didn't go for a proper recovery. I didn't get the good habits. Technicals, practice videos, they are still there to see the technique, to see, to discuss about how the box control was, a little thing that we can adjust. Game, our own game videos, they, they are needed to see what we did good because it's not always correcting with the videos, but it's reinforcing as well, or what we could do better. Like one thing is important is for me is I don't use video. What is as a goalie coach, I'm not in that position, but I don't use video to give marks to goalie. To goalie is not using the videos to tell them, oh, you play bad, or you are bad, or oh, you are really good. But it's always looking at what the specific goalie did, see if there is something he can do better. Because at the end of the day, as coach, you want the goalie to be a better version tomorrow for what he was today. And video helps the coach realize where it can really work. Because sometimes just watching, you have a perspective and you don't see everything. With a video, you can really pick some specific thing. And on the other side, on the other end, is the goalie looking at himself. And as you say, sometimes you get out, it's, oh, I was unbelievable. Oh, the save I did, and then you see that the video, say, ooh, not really.
I feel like with video, like you just can't lie. Like you can't lie to yourself. The coach can't lie to you because you're like, here's the example of you doing it wrong or right, or just like looking towards what does better look like. Because the world is so interconnected. Like when I grew up, I was just looking at the local high school team or the local AAA kids, and like that was what you could see. Nowadays you can see so much more and you've got access to it. You can go back and watch games from so many leagues across the world and understand like what does the next step look like? Where do I need to go? Where do I need to take the game? Or what are some things that I may need to acquire in my own game? And just having access to so much video, I think is such a powerful benefit. And even if you're playing adult league, like grab a live barn subscription or what, have someone videotape you and you just watch that back. Like it's just an illuminating experience for getting outside of yourself, and what kind of mental mindset that's going to shift when you actually go to coach, because now you understand what it looks like and what that experience is of being like, oh, okay, maybe not exactly lining up with what I thought originally.
Yeah, and I think video now help the coaching staff and the player to see different styles as well. Like before, I grew up with a VHS, so to get videos and so wasn't really so easy. And then the VHS system in Europe was different from the States, so I couldn't use the video from the States. But now you go on internet and you have a platform that show, like we have a platform that show all the games in whichever leagues in Europe or in the States. So you can really go and see the different philosophy of goalies. Before you can really melt together the way the Swedish goalies play with how what the Russian does and pick really the better stuff from everywhere and put it in a melt pot that can make you a better goalie, a better player, and of course a better coach.
Yeah, then there's the flip side of like you don't want to have it become like a crutch, something you rely on too much. I'm always thinking to myself, I'm like, I think Dominic Hasek became the world class goalie he is because he was so detached from all of that. Like he had good coaching, people who let him be what he was going to be, make sure he had the foundation, but realistically, he was also having that creativity, not the robotics that you'll see. And because he was probably so different, that was a huge challenge for shooters. That I play some adult league here in Columbus, Ohio, and I'll play with some fantastic goalies and some not so great goalies. And I feel like the good goalies are almost easier to score on because you kind of have an idea of what they're going to do in different situations versus the ones who are like, I have no idea what they're going to do. Like it's a wild card. I'm going to try to set them up, but otherwise they're very difficult to solve other than they're like, they can't get to these spots because they're so unpredictable. So it's like, how do you create that unpredictability, the difficulty, while also maintaining some structure of here's good things in these situations?
Now, of course, in a game that is always quicker and quicker, position and box control, so net coverage are important. But I think the way I do it is I don't have a picture of the goalie. So it's not that I look at the goalie and say, okay, you have to play like this. If you don't play like this, you can play. Like there are several philosophy. I see goalie coaches that have the goalie playing in the National League and the goalie playing in the U14, they look alike. And for me, I I take myself as a tailor, basically. So I get the person, and it's important to see how the person think, what are his pluses and his minus physically, and so then to work and make a dress that fits him. So this way, you give a bit more freedom to the goalie to develop as a person he is. You don't want to have robots. You want to have people that can take the right decisions on ice. And sometimes, like you have a goalie that is not as a good skater as another one, so or a goalie that is not so explosive. So if I take an example that fits the states is if I take like you are in Columbus, so you have Elvis. Merciclis is amazingly explosive and elastic. So on him you can build on this explosivity, on this way to play, and then you have oh, Bobrovsky, which is more a set, more a position goalie. And which one is the best one? Depends. Like for some it's Elvis, for others it's Bobrovsky. Maybe Bobrovsky have more fans at the moment, but it's always what the material you have to build. So two goalies that can start at the same time. One goalie will be 6'4", the other one will be 5'11", and already the kind of game must be different. The 5'11" have to be more aggressive. The 6'4" can be a bit more defensive in the net. So all these things they they kind of influence the goalie style for me. And as a coach, the important thing is really to look, to ask yourself, what can I do to make him better? And not what can I do to make him fit my photo, my picture.
I think that's a great lesson for a lot of people who get into coaching, because you almost want to try to create your mini me's. Like this is what worked for me. This is exactly what I did. Here's how I played the game. And you almost have the picture. And I always joke with coaches that do this for the first time. They're getting into it like, I'm going to fix all of my players and we're going to win the championship. Like this is going to be easy. And then you realize you're working with human beings and you can't just come in and mold them to what you want them to be. They have to have a desire. They have to have a desire to improve and just enjoy and being themselves. So I like that you have that idea, or that it paints it very clear in my head of like, don't have a picture for that player. Like, be the tailor, not the one who's molding them. You're not molding to this beautiful die that you have. You're helping tailor what they have to them. So it's very specific to their skill set, their mental capacity, how they're able to process the game. So don't have a picture for the goalie. I mean, that just seals it for me of like that very big epiphany that we all have to have as coaches when we're going up the ladder of our capabilities. Because you have to just throw out, okay, this is who I was. That's great, but it's not about me. It's about them and what can I do to help enhance them and their skill set.
Another thing that I think is important is be open, keep watching games, watch other leagues, lower leagues, NHL, uh, whichever league you see, World Championship, see the trends that are out. Look at the goalies, look at the game, because one thing I saw talking to other coaches here when you do the briefing after World Championship, and you talk about the trends, what you see and everything. A lot of people say, "Oh, I know it." And at the question, "Did you watch the World Championship?" "Oh, I don't need to." Like really be open, see, and curious about what's happening in the goalies world, because you can learn every day as a coach as well.
All right, you've mentioned this a few times, so I think we need to break down this for the non-goalies out there. What is box control slash net coverage?
Yeah, basically, yeah, I can explain in English now. It's basically it's a projection of the net is a box, and the box control is the best strategy to cover and to fill as much place in this box so that the puck doesn't have too many holes to get in. And this can be done in different ways by being aggressive, so covering the whole projection of the net. The more the projection is far from the net, the more the net is small. But at the same time, the more you're out, the more the sides are open. So you have the box control, the right box control is the the right strategy where you need to give up some space to cover the lateral potential plays. I don't know if I explained it right in English, but
No, no, that was good. I like the way that I normally have thought about box control is you just take four ropes from the posts, so if at the very bottom and the very top of the post, and like bring those together at the puck, and like that's kind of the idea of box control is
no,
fit a goalie far back, up close, and then understand like what is even possible for this puck to go in, and are you covering the
that's
right
the way
space? Are
you
you
teach
outside of the box, inside of the box?
and that the ropes is the way you teach young goalies to understand it. And then the more you go on, the more they get older, and so you have to start thinking about okay, the play doesn't come just south north south, but the puck can go move east west. So there is where my depth can adapt to cover the box or the potential box which is on the side. So when I move, I still have the capability to control the full box.
Yeah, and how does this box control play into the whole situation? Because saves are not about shots, it's about situations. So I think that that's super important. The last thing I really want to dive into here is like, how do we actually evaluate goaltenders? How do we help them evaluate their own performances? How do we evaluate them as coaches?
Yeah, and this comes from it. The evaluation normally has to start from the question, as I said before, how can I make the goalie better? And this bring me on when I evaluate the goalie, it's not just about performance. It depends from where we are in the goaltending process. Let's say if I look at a U12 goalie, my focus will not be on performance in the way, oh, he had a shutout, he took 9 goals, but the focus will be on what he does, the technique, if he's following the puck, if he's just um, trying to get the puck with a high shot and relying on luck, or how the technique is going, like in U14 is starting, how he reads the game. Is it too far? Is it too deep in the net? Is he able to read the basic situation like 2-on-1, 3-on-1s, in zone plays? What does he do? And so, and then when you go over till the U20, then of course the evaluation got on performance. Is he able after a bad goal to get back on track, or if you get a stupid goal, so you are a finish, it's better to change you, or like yeah, at every level there is focus that is different for me, and my mission as goalie coach is not really to evaluate the goalie, but kind of defend the goalie with the coaches, even at pro level. Because for a coach, it's easy. Oh, he got 5 goals, he played bad. And from the goalie coach point of view, sometimes you get 5 goals and you had a great game. Sometimes you get 1 goal and the game was so. Like not always the success of the game or how many goals you get is a good indicator of how you played. But it depends from the kind of shot, from where there are goal chances or just easy shots. Did I do something extra? Was I able to make the save in the right moment? And all these things come back in the evaluating the performance. And then you have many evaluation tools. You can go from normal stats, like okay, shots goals or goal chances goals or whatever, every statistic you can use. And you can use whichever statistic, or you can use video to see if the decision making was right, or you can go on evaluating just the technical side. There is so many things, and as I said, depend from the age. Like game reading will become an issue from U16 home before the goal is not form enough to be able to read the game, or at least not, he will be able to read just part of game, because some situations they are not quick and fast enough. Some situations don't happen at young ages, and so then all the technique skating can be evaluated from U12 till pro for sure. But the biggest focus on that goes on U12, 14, 16, where you can really still change goalie big time. Once you get U18, U20, you can adjust goalie, but there are some things that is hard to change. Or it requires so much work to change that it's almost not worth it sometimes. Then attitude, mental approach, compete level are all stuff that you can evaluate in the performance.
Yeah, I feel like attitude's a big one, especially like when I think about evaluating my goalies in practice. Like there's some situations where just it's going to be not in your favor and feel terrible. Like, oh, there's a 2-on-0. Like, okay, but are you still battling? Are you still positive? Are you still getting after it? That's huge. And I like the other thing where you're talking about like game score and kind of like relative to something else. Like there were five 2-on-1s. You let up only one goal. Like that's a good game. Or, there's nothing, no odd man rushes, and you gave up three goals. Something like that, where it's kind of relative to the threat that like expected goals against maybe, and you're exceeding what your team just kind of fed you versus the team in front of you is really good and you gave up some squeakers, or the team is really bad and you shut the door. Like it's so relative to the other part of the game, which is super important. And how did you read those situations? Are you communicating on the 2-on-1 that, hey, I've got the shooter or I'm taking pass? Are you making it easy to play with you? And are you enhancing your team in front of you?
Yeah, and another thing to think is too, when you get the goals, like you are leading 5-0 and you get score with a stupid goal from the blue line. Okay, okay, but it's 5-1. And then you have a 1-1 game where it's important you get score with the same goal and it changes the whole game. Sometimes the moment where you get a goal, because stupid goals happen. It's not something they get it in the NHL and they get it at U12. Of course, in NHL, maybe they get more pissed if they get it. At U12 is more understandable, but happen is part of the game. You can't eliminate that. But the moment where you get score is something really important to evaluate the performance. And now you get score as well.
Yeah, I love that because I feel like that's another piece that we could probably dive into another whole podcast episode on is just like getting the consistency, especially from these younger ages where it's becoming more and more of like it's not about the scoreboard. Regardless if it's 5-1 or 1-1, we should be playing it the same way and getting to the point where understanding, okay, I let up this soft one in this game. Well, I may not be as locked in, or I've yet to build up that mental capacity for the full amount of minutes that I'm playing. Or just even like fighting off boredom. Your team's much better than the other team, and you're going to probably get two or three really good chances against just because it's probably going to be odd man rushes that they're going to get against you. And are you still locked in mentally to handle the situations, or are you kind of caught off in the back foot of becoming disengaged? And that mental capacity is something to be developed because it definitely feeds into the consistency and taking it from I give up one or two bad goals every once in a while to there's very rarely a bad goal.
The mental side is really important because you need to bounce back. And happened this bad game where you get in and first 3 minutes, three shot, three goals. And then that's something we evaluate a lot. Like how does the goalie, how does a player go on in the game after that? Does he just take a bad body language? You see him like he's in the death row, or you see somebody that's ready to jump back because this is something that can make a difference in the important games. Like happen the other team start two quick goals, and what do? You take other eight or you start playing. This is the mental attitude and the attitude that get evaluated because I think when they're young, it's just a game, and the older you get, the more important get to win. Like it's normal. You don't play to lose. Nobody play. Even kids they don't. But if you get to our championship or so, you can just say, okay, I took two goals, two bad goals, I stop playing. This is something you need to evaluate when you pick a goalie for a certain level, like an international tournament or to play pro or and so on.
Yeah, does that team want to play in front of you? Always, always a good marker for goalies as well. But um, no, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on this morning for me, afternoon for you, coming across the globe here to chat goaltending and what does it look like. And there's some really nice points. I definitely want to steal the idea of being a tailor rather than a molder of players. Just so many great points. Intentional save selections. How do we go about selecting goalies? What are we looking with box control? Asking questions of our players, get them thinking. That way, we're not doing the PlayStation goalies. So, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate your time.
Oh, thank you. And sorry for my English. It wasn't the best one. In some points, I struggle a bit more. But I promise if there is another time, I will practice more because I can talk more fluently.
Well, you've got definitely five good languages that you can pull from. I thought this was great, not an issue at all. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
That concludes this week's episode. Thanks for joining us here at Hockey IQ. If you haven't already, take a quick moment to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, and drop a review. If you want to be a great teammate, even recommend us to a friend. You can follow us at Hockey's Arsenal on Twitter and Instagram. Check out the website, hockeysarsenal.com, where you can subscribe to the weekly newsletter. You won't regret it. Catch your buttes here next week for a brand new episode.